On today's Cowboys Report, we will break down the 30 visits. Now, we don't always get to figure out who the full 30 were. In this case, we can only actually confirm 24 of them, which means there's 6 unknown with a couple of conflicting information reports out there for the Dallas Cowboys, for this 2024 NFL Draft. Specifically for Dallas, every team treats them differently. But for Dallas, these matter a lot. It allows an organization, with the owner being the GM and his son being the GM, to take a closer look at the player. And they will almost unquestionably end up adding at least a couple of these guys. They do every single year, and especially if there's a day 3 guy on the 30 visit, these guys often end up being Cowboys. Also provides insights into the different position targets. Pretty clear pecking order of what Dallas would like to accomplish in this draft based on their 30 visits and just the groups of positions. Now, this is the most complete list. Lots of different sources consulted here. Shout out to Nick Harris at Cowboys.com for putting together almost all of these. Not quite all of them, every single one, but he got the vast majority of them. So shout out Nick, plus guys like Ryan Fowler, Draft Network, Calvin Watkins, etc. It's a pretty damn complete list. So share it. Help it get some more views and grow and be a popular video so I can do it each year. Hit that share button right now. Now here's the overview of the 30 visit tracker. 7 different backs, 6 linebackers, 5 tackles, 2 centers, 2 defensive linemen, 1 tight end, and 1 wide receiver. Again, there are 6 different players that we just haven't seen reporting on, and/or there's some conflicting information out there from that perspective, which we will discuss at the end of today's show. But 24 players of the 30, it's more than what you figure out for most of the other NFL teams. The 30 visit tracker, let's break it down. We'll start with the running backs here. Trey Benson out of Florida State. I actually have him as the number 1 back in this year's class. The athletic ability is fantastic. He's averaged over 6 yards per carry in the course of his NFL career. May or may not get there to Dallas in the first round, but has the height, weight, speed, athletic profile, big playability, some pass catching that you crave out of a RB1. And given how bad the Cowboys need one of those, despite never rushing for 1,000 yards in his college career, Benson stands out as a prime option. So too does Jonathon Brooks, who might be the most mocked player, at least beyond round 1, at least you go 2 rounds, than anybody. Also averaged 6+ yards per carry in his collegiate career. Much like Trey Benson, good size, great athletic ability, offers some big plays, some pass catching value. The big knock on Brooks is this: he's coming off a torn ACL. Now, the Cowboys team doctor did that ACL. I don't actually give any boost to that. Like, the doctor's not going to lie to other teams about where the medical status is. It's just like, it's not how any of that works. But Brooks stands out as a top option, especially in round 2. Maybe more of a third-round option is Wisconsin back Braelon Allen. It's a big boy. 6'1 1/4, 235 pounds, 31 1/4-inch arms. Really good size. Not the fastest player. And there's a reason why he did not do the 40-yard dash at the Combine or his pro day. It probably wouldn't have been that great. That's okay. You know what you're getting here. Even though there are times he's a big guy that likes to run a little bit small, he can be the lead power back for you. He was going to be a linebacker, actually, at Wisconsin, and then ended up sticking in the backfield. I think James Conner, I've seen that as a popular comp out there. I actually like that one quite a bit. Bucky Irving out of Oregon, also maybe a third-round option, maybe slides into day 3 because he didn't test very well. The production was really good. 2 straight 1,000-yard seasons up there in Oregon. Great results from that perspective. Undersized at 5'9", 192. If you value the athletic testing, there's a big, bright red flag on this. But I would also argue he's a better football player than he is athlete. And that isn't the worst thing to have. So what round will the Cowboys draft a running back this year? 1, 2, 3, trade down for a 4th, only in the 5th. What's the first round they take one? It's the pinned comment on today's video. Just go vote if the ad comes here on YouTube. Rasheen Ali out of Marshall. I got him as a sleeper by the way. He was a big play threat at Marshall, lots of production, but has had medical issues. Missed most 2022 due to an MCL injury, injured his ankle in 2023. That's all things that make you go, okay, a little bit of a red flag there. 39 touchdowns in 29 games played. He is indeed a big play threat. 7 plays of 50-plus yards. There are some backs who have 7 plays of 20-plus yards. Like, all of those things are valuable and impactful, but he is a fumbler. Could maybe be a good third down player for you. Could be a double dip guy, by the way. Next up is Alabama running back Jace McClellan, who I don't have a very high grade on. In a bigger workload this year, despite, look, he was battling, some injuries this year, a foot injury kind of battle for a good portion of the season. Under 5 yards per carry. I think he's more reliable, safe. He's got solid size, decent quickness. There isn't that elite trait or skill or production measurements. Something to go, this is why he's so good. It's more the overall profile is reflective of someone who gets drafted on day 3. Then there's Amani Bailey. Now, I will make note, Bailey qualifies as a local visit, but Clarence Hill reported that he was brought in for a 30, which is not the only player that fits that bucket for Dallas. The issue here is the size and athletic profile. He's under 5'8", didn't test that great either. 4'6", 140 is not very good. When you do want some speed, the agility was kind of mediocre. The issue you run into there is that's kind of a size outlier. Now, he made some really nice after contact stuff, which does intrigue me, and he has that thick, squattier build I like. I like my running backs to be compact. Makes them tougher to tackle. But the athletic testing was so bad, it will have him off of teams' boards altogether. The 30 visit tracker, let's go to the offensive line here. Talise Fuaga, if we believe the Oregon State pronunciation. There's some differences of opinion on that front. Is probably the first player taken of any player the Cowboys brought in for a pre-draft visit. And I'm actually kind of surprised he's on this list. Because I wouldn't be shocked if he went top 15. I don't see him getting out of the top 20. I think he'd probably be a left guard for you because I don't think he has the foot quickness to truly stay on the left side. I think he does, though, to play right tackle. If you want a mean mauler, this guy checks off that box. So I don't think he's going to get there. If he is there at 24, the value is too good to not take him. Kingsley Suamataia. This has been a conflicted reporting one before, where he was allegedly on the list, rescheduled, and then is now back on the scheduled list. So still kind of an asterisk on this front, but this is the plan to bring him in. And this could be one of we got picked over in round 1 at tackle, so we moved down or just took the best available one on the board. He is the cousin of Penei Sewell, and athletically, almost the exact same guy. Built the same way, tested the same way. The difference is he's much more raw with his technique. He is not nearly as polished as Penei Sewell is, but zone-heavy scheme fits that in the NFL. You can fix the technique, you can fix some of the issues he has, like you did with Tyler Smith, and end up with a left tackle or a right tackle. He's played both. I thought he was better on the right side, but that flipping side's not easy for players. More alignment to come, but today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. Pick more, pick less. That's it. It really is that easy. I always advise the flex play. The flex play allows you to get one wrong and still come out on top. If you're doing some season-long Prize Picks, by the way, I would also highly advise you take the more thans because the kind of injury risk is already baked in. All these numbers here, Mahomes passing yards, Dak passing yards, Lamb touchdowns, Micah sacks, less than what they had previously. So therefore, take the more than. It's where the value is. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Matt, the pronunciation, by the way, is Gonzalez. I don't know how. The C is a V, but it is Gonzalez. Out of Pitt. really intriguing prospect, and one I kind of struggle with. I have a 4th-round grade on him. Would not be shocked if he went day 2. He was a prime breakout candidate in 2023, was going to take a step forward after a promising 2022 campaign. He's a good athlete, and then he had a really bad turf toe injury, barely played this year, and it's kind of an unknown for me. The length is not great. It's 33.25-inch arms, and I think that opens up the possibility of Dallas looking at him as a guard, but I think he could be a late day 2, early day 3 candidate at tackle. I have TCU offensive tackle Brandon Coleman graded similarly. A tough player for me. 2022 version, very intriguing. 2023 version, not nearly as much. In about an almost 300 fewer snaps, he did allow 3 fewer sacks, but his hurries went up. His hits kind of stayed fairly steady. The run blocking really fell off, and the flags tripled. Overall production on a per-snap basis was not nearly as good for me. Now, he moved all over the line. He only had snaps at left tackle, left guard, right tackle. Working with my guy Duke Manyweather, always a good sign. He had a rough go in Big 12 play. Now, he was battling some injuries. Maybe you give him the excuse there, but that bit of a concerning profile for me. I want guys ascending. I don't know if he's ascending at this time, but if you blame the injury, then hey, you can readjust here. Good arm length, though. Always a big thing for the Dallas Cowboys. Giovanni Manu out of British Columbia. I would not have done any work on him in my pre-draft process if he wasn't a Cowboys 30 visit. But he is. Great athlete, long arms, from Canada. There's no actual games of the University of British Columbia I could find on all 22. There are 2 2.5-minute cut-ups. The guy moves well. Beyond that, he fits the archetype of he played football in Canada. He's playing against a bunch of future maple syrup, workers as opposed to NFL players. Big change coming. So maybe a UDFA option. But great athlete. Could get drafted 7th round. The center options. 2 players the Cowboys have brought in, again, that we know of. Jackson Powers-Johnson, who might have been brought in just for Dallas to get an even more in-depth look at the medical concerns. The talent, I would argue, is undeniable. Very talented player, highly impactful, great success at Oregon. But among the medical concerns here, hamstring at the Senior Bowl, some hip whispers and concerns on that front of things maybe not being great there. Had a groin issue this year, multiple concussions. Got to vet the medical. Meanwhile, Graham Barton, who played tackle at Duke, I think is going to be a center option in the NFL. Also has some medical stuff. The concussion, a knee sprain, and needed shoulder surgery that kind of cost him a good amount of the season. Did play center at Duke as a freshman. He tested incredibly well. We're talking like Frank Ragnow size and better athletic ability. We're talking like Creed Humphrey-esque testing. It's really good. I would not be shocked if one of these 2 guys was your pick in round 1. So pick a center. JPJ for Jackson Powers-Johnson. GB for Graham Barton. I'll pick up pace here a little bit. Linebackers. Edgerrin Cooper. And I think this might be the Cowboys' number 1 linebacker in the class because his profile is a little bit cleaner. And if you want Mike Zimmer to have a linebacker who can line up and blitz, man, Alec Ogletree really, Edgerrin Cooper, he reminds me of Alec Ogletree with kind of his long arms, stands out as that guy. Now, like so many of these young players, he has to do work on his instincts. But I think he can hold up on 3rd downs, and I can't say about every single player in this year's class. Junior Colson could be other teams' number 1 ranked linebacker in this class. A 3-year starter from Michigan, is a really good tackler among the better ones in this year's class. I think has above average athletic ability. There are times that, I think he plays finesse. Want him to play bigger, even though he only is 6'2", 238. There are times the processing in it is a half step up behind. But I think he's going to be a top 75 pick, if not top 50 pick, when it's all said and done. The wild card here is Peyton Wilson out of NC State. If he were healthy, he would be among my top 32 prospects in this year's class. I have no doubts about that. But the medical concerns are massive. The production is incredible. The athletic ability, it checks off every single box you could want. But we're talking double-digit surgeries. We're talking knees and shoulders. That's not a great combo. If you trust the medical, he stayed healthy for the most part the past 2 seasons, great. That's a tricky medical to fully trust, though. Trevin Wallace out of Kentucky is also on the Cowboys pre-draft visit list. I have a kind of that late third, early fourth cheater grade on him at this time. The traits are there. I mean, not the biggest guy at 6'1" and change, but he is 237, can hold up in coverage. I get like some, it's going to traumatize you guys. I get some Damone Clark minus the medical issue vibes. We're a good athlete, but needs instincts to be better. The instincts come along, great. You have Jordan Hicks. If they don't, you missed on a pick again. Daniel Watson, next up here, out of Mississippi State. This is a bit of a different guy than the other guys on this list. The first 4 names are run and chase backers. Nathaniel Watson is a thumper. He will stop the run and can blitz as well. This could be a very likely day 3 draft pick for the Dallas Cowboys, potentially as part of a double dip to round out a rather thin linebacking core. Jordan McGee out of Temple, of the day 3 prospects, the consensus, quote-unquote, day 3 picks, I think Jordan McGee is being undervalued. I thought he played really well this year for Temple. If you can get him in the 5th round, I think that's a really good selection for Dallas. Other teams, including the Eagles, but not limited to the Eagles, have shown interest as well. More Cowboys draft news, so do not miss out. Hit that sub button for more free Cowboys YouTube videos, including but not limited to the NFL Draft. Byron Murphy out of Texas. He might not be there for the Cowboys in round 1. The defensive tackle had an incredible season for the Longhorns, checks off every single athletic box you're searching for. The pressures were very impressive. The impact was there. He might be gone before Dallas picks, but he's also a good fallback option if the O-line prospects are gone. Darius Robinson out of Missouri is highly intriguing to me as well. I have a tough time with him. I just see a tweener. His production was way better this year after moving to the outside at defensive end. The problem is his athletic ability is better at defensive end. He's kind of slow to be a defensive end. Maybe he's your long-term Tank Lawrence replacement. Base defensive end and offers some more ability on the inside than Tank even does on 3rd downs. Who do you want to draft in round 1? Go ahead and sound off for me in the comments section of today's video. JT Sanders also on this list. Now, Sanders qualified, like some other, I think Byron Murphy did as well, also the TCU guys, qualified for the Dallas Day. My guy Nick Harris told me that they brought him in with the rest of the 30 visits, and that was the process. So I think he counts from that perspective. The 30 visits were not great this year talent-wise. I think Dallas just had a better player, wanted to use one of their 30s to get a better feel for him. Malachi Corley's the lone receiver. I think what happened here is because Corley tested positive for COVID at the Combine, he wasn't actually able to participate. So he has had some of the most 30 visits out there this year because teams have not yet had a chance to meet him. I think that's what's going on there. We're actually not going to go quite yet. Some updates for you guys when we film this on Monday's live show. Tyrese Chambers, add him to the 30 visit list. He visited the Cowboys facility on April 11th per his own social media posting. This one's kind of a weird one, to be quite honest. It was a 1,000-yard receiver at FIU in 2021, really impactful, had 45 catches, averaged 24 yards per catch, then eventually transfers to Maryland, left midway through the season for some undisclosed personal reasons, had battled some injuries, but I think wasn't playing very much. Then had terrible athletic testing, 4.27 40-yard dash. So I wonder here if this was a guy the Cowboys' advanced scouting staff had a pretty good grade on in 2021, they had an extra 30-visit spot, wanted to see what happened. I would be shocked if they drafted him because you can't draft a 4.72 40 receiver who weighs 190 pounds. Now, 3 players who have been on the conflicting reporting information side. Travis Glover, and there was uncertainty with the initial reports as to what was a 30, what wasn't, so I'm not sure he really went. Tyrone Tracy, again, there's been some, he was a 30 visit. No, he wasn't, so big asterisks on that front. Troy Fautanu had been on the conflicting reporting side as well. In an interview posted today with Justin M. NFL of Draft Network, Fautanu said he took a 30 visit to the Cowboys. So I am putting him back on the 30 visit tracker list. So with Fautanu and Chambers added, that's 26 of the 30 names, which leaves 4, maybe, depending on where we put Tyrone Tracy in that category.